Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
Okay, another one. Next one. Hi, guys. How are you? Good, I hope. Let's learn, shall we?
Germany, here
13 things you need to know before visiting Germany. Felicia? Feli from Germany. Let's go. Preemptive like.
you want to go to Germany? Here are some
Maybe.
things you need to know before you go from a German native. Hallo, Servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Felicia. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but have been living in Cincinnati, Ohio, off and on since 2016. Now, traveling isn't really
It's funny because I've been to Munich and I've never been to Cincinnati.
a thing right
Cincinnati. Cincinnati.
now, but I know that many of you can't wait until that's going to be possible again. And I know that many of you are planning your future trips in your heads. And for all of you who've always wanted to visit Germany, or even move to Germany, I'm sharing some things that you should definitely know before you go. These are things that I usually tell friends who go to Germany for the first time, but I'm sure that many of you guys could benefit from this as well.
You can hello. All right. I didn't know if my mic was working. It is.
The first one sounds pretty obvious, but believe me, people forget about this all the time. Different countries have different outlets and voltages. So if you're from the US, you'll need to bring or buy an adapter if you want to use your electrical devices, because your American plugs won't fit into a German outlet. We also have a voltage of 220, 230 volt in Germany, whereas it's only 120 in the US, and not all electronic devices can handle the switch. So be sure that you do some research about that before you go. Especially
That's fair. They look so much more industrial, if that makes sense. Like party, right? Like look at this. It's like classic little 2 bars
fit into a German outlet.
And this looks like something that sometimes if you have something like a fridge or refrigerator or a washing machine that have, you know, the things that need a lot of power, and they have a bigger circular plugger inner outlet connector thing, cord. Jesus. And it kind of looks like this. Maybe it's... So anyways, yeah, so that's interesting.
Outlets. We also have a voltage of 220, 230 volt in Germany, whereas it's only 120 in the US, and not all electronic devices can handle the switch, so be sure that you do some research about that before you go. Especially hair dryers and hair straighteners
Question, guys.
usually don't work with a different voltage.
I need that hair straightener. But does that mean that that your phone charges like twice as fast in Europe as it does in the US because it's almost double the voltage?
Especially hair dryers and hair straighteners usually don't work with a different voltage. I actually broke a hair straightener once because I tried using my German one in the US and that just made it stop working. What does work usually though is laptops and phone chargers and those kind of things. And even though I am obviously aware that the outlets are different, I totally forgot about it this past Christmas when I went home to be with my family, because I got a new laptop recently in the US that came with an American charger, and I totally forgot that for the first time ever I would need an adapter that goes from American plug to German plug and not the other way around. But luckily my dad has a bunch of travel adapters and one of them actually fit. Then of course we also use a different currency in Germany. It's the euro, just like in many other countries in the European Union. And at least compared to the US, we also use a different measurement system, the metric system with kilometers instead of miles, etc. Even though the US really is the odd one out here.
Fair.
The next point causes a pretty big shock for many people who visit Germany for the first time. Stores are closed on Sundays, even grocery stores. So make sure to plan ahead, because the only places you'll be able to find any groceries on a Sunday are stores at train stations and gas stations.
It's interesting because Chick-fil-A, you know Chick-fil-A, it's like known as that like place that's not open on Sundays because they're like owned by a very religious Christian owner. Whatever. And knowing that Europe is much less religious than America, and yet you guys still don't really have things open on Sunday is kind of a weird mind screwer for us, for me.
This has a Christian background, but it also has to do with workers' rights. In Germany, we believe that everyone should be able to get a rest day on Sunday and spend time with their family. Restaurants, movie theaters, and those kind of things are usually open though.
Okay. I was going to say, why not just have people work on those? Never mind. Why am I?
Even if you're only in Germany for a day, you should make sure to carry cash on you. Germany has a pretty big cash culture, and there might be quite a few occasions where you won't be able to pay electronically, like when you want to get something at a bakery, a kiosk, small stores that don't accept card payments, or things like parking machines. You can either get some cash from the ATM in Germany, but be aware that there will probably be an ATM fee and a currency conversion fee if your bank account isn't in euros, or you can also ask your bank at home to get some euros to you before you leave.
Curious what the ATM fee is over there, guys. Over here, it's like $3.50.
That might be the best option actually, because that way you'll also have some cash right when you arrive in case you need it. What you shouldn't do though is exchange money at the airport, because it'll be a lot more expensive. Damn, how do you cut something out in Photoshop? Can you help me? Just have an expert explain it to you on Skillshare. Hey, do you have any marketing?
Make sure to use their links for their ads, guys. Their sponsors.
I think it will probably be a lot more helpful if you took a marketing class on Skillshare. Can you at least help me organize my closet?
Skillshare.
Okay, all jokes aside, before I tell you what you need to know about driving in Germany, I'd like to introduce today's sponsor, which is, you guessed it, Skillshare. It's an online learning community with thousands of video classes where you can either discover new skills, deepen existing passions, or just get lost in creativity. In addition to the things I just mentioned in that little conversation with myself, you can also learn about music production, entrepreneurship, painting, dancing, languages, and much more. Back in October, when I launched my podcast, Understanding Train Station, I took the class Podcasting Secrets, How to Start Your Own Podcast by Nicola Matthews-Okomi, which gave me a lot of helpful tips, especially about the things that were completely new to me, like the hosting and publishing process of the podcast. The cool thing is that Skillshare is curated specifically for learning, so the classes come with learning materials and have a consecutive curriculum with different chapters, and there are no ad breaks. If you would like to join Skillshare as well, make sure to check out the link in the info box below, because the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link will get a free trial of premium membership so that you can explore your creativity. And even without that offer, it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. Now let's talk about what you need to know about driving in Germany.
Speed limit.
There are a few differences that you should be aware of before you get behind the wheel.
Fast.
The first thing is that gas is a lot more expensive in Germany than it is in the US. It's about 3 times as expensive. So if you were going to rent a car and just drive around Germany or Europe, that's not going to be as cheap as you probably expected. In fact, it might be a lot cheaper to get around by bus or train. We have a pretty good train system all over Germany and over Europe too. And especially if you're just staying within one city in Germany, public transportation might be a more convenient and less stressful option for you too, because traffic can be a little crazy.
If you've heard this story, you've heard it before, okay? It's the only story I have, so buckle up. Me, my dad, and brother went to Europe a few years ago. 5, 6 years ago? 7? Like mid-2010s, like 2015-ish area. And we did drive. We took a car from Heathrow Airport in London, and so the steering wheel was on the right-hand side of the car, which was weird. And then driving in England on the left side, and then going through the the Channel Tunnel with the car, and then driving with the same car with the steering wheel on the right-hand side, now on the right. It was strange, but I mean, I wasn't. I guess my dad was the one paying for gas, so I don't really remember gas price differences, but I'm sure they were there.
The drivers can be aggressive, and parking in a German city is usually a nightmare. When you need to get gas, you should know that you pump first in Germany and then pay afterwards. And you don't usually pay at the pump, but you'll have to go inside afterwards to do so. The regular gas in Germany is called Super, but of course you can always look at what it says inside of the gas cap as to what kind you should put in the tank. Then of course,
You guys have so much trust in your citizens. Obviously, I'm not saying they don't have ways to track you down if you just consistently fill up and then just leave without paying, okay? I know there has to be some measures, but still, that's just...
There are different driving laws in Germany, so be sure to check those out before you get on the streets. Two major things are that you can't turn right on red, and you always need to watch out for cyclists and pedestrians, especially when turning right. I found that that's not really something that people learn in driver's ed in the States, because in many American towns, people walking or riding their bike isn't really a thing. For everything else, like the street signs, speed limits, and driving on the highway, the Autobahn, you can check out my video on driving if you want to learn more.
Isn't really a thing. Yeah, sort of. Yes. It's a thing, but a rare thing, or much rarer, I'm sure.
This one might be kind of shocking to Americans. In Germany, it's legal to drink alcohol in public, and Germans do that a lot too, especially in the summer. So don't be surprised by that, and who knows, maybe you're gonna try it too and get a cool experience out of it if you...
I thought she was gonna say it might be surprising to some people that it's illegal, because Germany, when you think of Germany, or, you know, one of the things I think of is beer, and I thought she was gonna say the opposite. Anyways.
You can just sit by the river on a warm summer night with a 50-cent beer from the corner store. And yes, beer is pretty cheap in Germany, but it's still very, very good. Now, if you visit Germany as a tourist, you're probably gonna spend a lot of time at restaurants. So here's a few things that you should know about that. So when you walk into a restaurant, you can usually just seat yourself and don't have to wait for someone to show you to a table. Then you won't get ice in your drinks unless you ask for it, but even then, it'll probably just be a couple of ice cubes. The sizes of drinks are also pretty small in comparison to the States, just like almost everything in Germany. And
no
water
refills.
is not free at German restaurants, so if you order water, you'll usually get bottled water, either still or sparkling, which Germans are huge fans of. Once you're done, you have...
I love, I call it seltzer, but sparkling water, sure. Love it. No problem with that.
Have to ask the waiter for the check. They won't bring it to you automatically, and you're probably gonna have to flag them down because they're not gonna check on you all the time. And then they'll usually have you pay right at the table, either with cash, or you can also pay with your card in most restaurants, but you'll have to let them know because they'll have to get the little device first. Now, when it comes to tipping, we tip around 10% in Germany, and the way it works is that you just tell the waiter directly what you want to round it up to. So if your check is 20 euros and you want to
Stimmt so.
tip them 2 euros, you just tell them to make it 22 and you'll get the change for that. It works the same way with card payments too, so make sure to tell them the tip before you insert your card. Also, just a heads up, the waiters in Germany might seem kind of cold compared to the ones in the US. You'll have to flag them down if you need something, and they're probably not going to be as friendly, which has to do with the fact that they don't have to rely on tips as much, but also with the German customer service in general.
So weird how we can pay people way lower than minimum wage because we know they're going to get tips. Kind of crazy. Maybe overall, I've never worked in a job where tips were a big part of your payment, so I'm not sure. But maybe overall it works up to more than minimum wage. So I don't know, but it's got to be weird seeing Americans in Europe in certain places, and because if you know, like, and if you sit down to eat, right, like, and someone brings you your food, that's a place where pretty much every American, maybe not every American, but above 90%, I'd say, are going to tip. And so I just wonder what their thoughts are if they see someone who's American. Is it like, oh God, this is going to be confusing? Or is it like, oh, maybe they'll tip more because they're from America? I don't know. Don't know.
Please don't let let it scare you off, but the customer service in Germany is pretty bad compared to the US, at least in my opinion. I know that many Germans are gonna disagree with me in the comments, but if you're used to American standards, it's very likely that some of the people working in German customer service will make you feel like you're bothering them or annoying them. If that happens, please don't think that it has anything to do with you being a tourist or not speaking German. It's nothing personal. They treat me like that too. Of course, there's also many great people working in customer service who are lovely to talk to, but unfortunately that's not the standard in Germany.
I think that's something where that's one of the things where you need to know going into the trip. Like if you go from your country, say America, to other countries like in Europe, and you expect stuff to be the same and not have to be on your toes a bit about cultural differences, then that's kind of on you, in my opinion. Like, you need to... I think it's weird to go to another country, and if something doesn't... It's like, wait a second, what did they... And not take into the account the fact that you're in another country and expectations might be different, then I think that's something that's on the traveler more than the country being traveled to, if that makes sense.
One of the most popular topics of complaints among tourists is that you have to pay to use the bathroom in Germany. Now, it's possible that that's going to be the case. Like at rest stops on the highway, you'll find these bathrooms with turnstiles, and at some public bathrooms there will be a person sitting with a tipping plate, but that's not always the case, and at restaurants it's usually free. But yes, sometimes you'll have to pay for using a public bathroom, so it's always best to carry some change on you, just in case.
You still be cleaner, I guess, right?
Germans like rules, and they like to follow the rules, and that includes stopping at a red pedestrian light. So, no jaywalking in Germany, and by that I mean that you won't see a lot of Germans jaywalk, and many of them don't like it when others do it either, which by the way applies to other rules too. You may even get reminded by strangers to follow the rules. Besides the whole no jaywalking thing, some of these rules are to stay right on escalators to let people pass on the left,
Achtung! Achtung!
And, very, very important, don't walk or stand in bike lanes. Next to the sidewalk, there's usually a bike lane, and there are many, many cyclists in German cities. And if you block the bike lane, you may either cause an accident, or you'll probably have a person on their bike ring their bell at you, or even yell at you.
I believe that's kind of
in case
standard.
You happen to turn on the TV or want to go see a movie in Germany, don't be surprised if your favorite American actor suddenly speaks German, because almost everything is dubbed in Germany. We do consume a lot of American movies and shows in Germany, but Germans aren't big fans of subtitles. And even though more and more people do consume English media in their original version nowadays, the norm in Germany is the dubbed versions.
I hate subtitles because I can't, like, it's having to constantly like look at the scene and then not pay attention and read, and you know, it kind of takes you out of it and you miss things, so that's understandable.
Some movie theaters do show movies in the original versions too, though. You'll just have to look out for the little addition behind the title that says OV. Many of you have probably heard the cliche that Germans are pretty reserved and rather cold, and there's actually a lot of truth to that. So before you go to Germany, you should definitely know that Germans don't usually talk to strangers a lot, and we aren't big on small talk, so don't expect to have some nice conversations with people at the store or something.
Hi, how are you? I'm from America. How is your day going, guys? How's the wife?
It depends on who you interact with, of course, but at first sight, Germans can come off as unfriendly, especially when compared to Americans. It's nothing personal though, it's just a cultural difference. But if you ever have a concrete question, don't hesitate to approach a German and ask them, because Germans are usually very glad to help. Now, how should I ask someone for advice if I don't speak German? Well, most Germans do know some English. They may have a thick accent and may not be able to have a full conversation, but they'll definitely be able to, give you directions or tell you the price of something. Many Germans also speak pretty good English, so those of you who come to Germany and do speak some German and want to use it, don't be thrown off if you speak to someone in German and they reply in English. It's a thing that many Germans do, and I know that it can come off as rude in a way, but they usually just want to make life easier for the two of you because they know that German is a difficult language.
The French incident.
And if they think that their English is better than your German, they may think that they can make the conversation more efficient by switching to English.
I was in France and I was in a restaurant and I had to go to the bathroom. I didn't know where it was, okay? So I had to go up and ask. And so I learned I forget what it was. Banye, bale, mbale. But it was funny to me. And I did not see it as rude. I was just like, thank you. I just went up and I was like, I forget what it was in French. I looked it up, right? And he just immediately just said downstairs to the right in perfect English. And France was definitely the place that out of the countries, out of France, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, that we went to, that it's definitely most difficult in France to just know English, right? And he just said downstairs to the right immediately in English. It was a very good English very good English too, which meant he probably knew a lot of English. I didn't think that was rude. I thought it was more funny that he just knew right away, like, it's downstairs to the right. Like, stop it. It's like, but downstairs to the right. I'll never forget that.
So please don't be offended by that. If you really, really want to practice your German, I'm sure you can just ask them to stick with German.
Don't.
The last point.
Also, Koblenz, Germany. All right. Why'd you go to Koblenz? It's such a random place. What? We just wanted to go off the beaten path for a sec into a random German town, okay? And we were on the newspaper cover, okay? I want to get the cover. But because we went into a random bar, first we went into like I think it was like a Syrian place, and we were American, and this was like during Obama, like Syria and America weren't so great, and so we were kind of like, oh crap, oh no. But they were really nice, and we got some food, and then when we went to a bar across the street, and only two guys in it because it was pretty late. It was the bartender and then a guy, right? And they didn't speak English, but we had fun, and a guy gave us free shots like behind the bar, for like if we could count 1 to 10 in German. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Something like that. Was I close? Anyways, it was a fun time.
On my list is mainly targeted at people who want to move to Germany. Now, when you move into a new place, be prepared that it might come entirely empty. And by that I mean that there won't even be blinds, curtains, or light bulbs in it, and oftentimes not even a kitchen. So the space where the kitchen is supposed to be will just have a bunch of cables and pipes stick out of the wall, and you'll be responsible for getting all of the appliances and cabinets. Also, leases are usually unlimited in Germany, unless it's like a sublease or something. But in the US, I found that a lease usually has an end date, 1 year in a lot of cases, and then you can either renew it or end it. You won't have to do that in Germany. Also, when looking for a place, you should be aware that a bedroom can be really small in Germany, so you should always look at the size of the room or the apartment and not just the number of bedrooms, because a 3-bedroom apartment in Germany could be smaller than a 1-bedroom in the States. Also, bedrooms don't have closets in Germany, so you'll need a wardrobe or a dresser to put your clothes in, and there are many, many more differences regarding German and American houses, so if you're interested in that, you can just click here and check out my video about differences at home.
Really cool, guys. Would appreciate any comments. I have to pee, so I gotta go. But really interesting. Again, any questions I asked or any comments in general, I'd really appreciate them. I hope you guys are all doing well, and I will see you next time. Great channel, great video as always. Bye, guys.